I was neatly stacking laundry in the living room, the TV's soft murmur creating a cozy background hum. My husband, Michael, was off on another one of his long work trips, leaving the house quieter than usual. These stretches alone had become so familiar that the stillness barely registered anymore. I let out a small sigh and checked the time, 6:45 p.m. time to start on dinner. My son, Ethan, was probably tucked away in his room, either tackling homework or lost in one of his streaming binges. At 16, our chats felt more like brief ripples than deep conversations. I found myself missing the days when he'd rush in, bursting with stories about every little thing that happened at school. Now, it's just the occasional shared laugh, quick dinners, and a lot of quiet moments. As I folded the last shirt and set it in the basket, I heard footsteps coming closer. Ethan appeared in the doorway, hands shoved deep in his hoodie, his face clouded with hesitation. Those dark eyes, his dad's eyes, darted nervously before settling on the floor. "Mom, can we have a chat?" he mumbled, his voice barely audible. I pushed the basket aside and tapped the couch beside me. "Of course, honey. Come sit." He sank onto the cushion, keeping a bit of distance, his gaze fixed on his hands. The silence lingered, heavy and awkward, for just a moment too long. I reached out, gently placing a hand on his knee. "You know I'm always here for you, don't you?" I said softly. He gave a small nod, took a deep breath, and finally looked up at me. "Mom, I think something's off with me." My heart gave a little squeeze. "What's going on, Ethan?" "I don't feel the way the other guys at school do," he said, groping for the right words. "They're always talking about girls, who's cute, who's dating who, but I just don't feel that way." I leaned closer, giving him my full attention. "So, you've never felt drawn to anyone at all?" "Not really. I've tried, you know? I wanted to fit in, but it's like I can't force it. I'm scared it means I'm different. Maybe I'm gay, or maybe I'm not even that. What if I'm just empty?" My heart ached at the uncertainty in his voice. "Ethan, listen to me. You are not empty. You're my son, and I love you no matter what, whether you're into girls, guys, both, or nobody at all. That doesn't change how much you mean to me." His eyes started to glisten. "What if this is just how I am forever?" "Then that's absolutely fine," I reassured him. "Not everyone feels things the same way, and that's okay. You're only 16. There's plenty of time to figure out what feels right for you, and even if you never feel those sparks, you're still complete. You're enough." He swiped at his eyes with his sleeves, soaking up the tears. "What if people talk? What if Dad?" I gently cupped his face in my hands. "Your dad loves you, and if anyone tries to make you feel less than you are, they'll have to answer to me." He let out a shaky chuckle and leaned into me. I wrapped my arm around him, pulling him close as the tension eased from his shoulders. We stayed like that for a while, just the two of us, with only the faint hum of the TV and the rhythm of our breathing in the air. I knew more questions and complex feelings would come, but right then, I just wanted him to feel secure. I wanted him to know he wasn't facing this alone. "You're going to be okay," I whispered, pressing a kiss to his hair. "We'll figure it out together." Later that night, after Ethan had gone to bed, I lay awake, staring into the darkness. His openness had stirred something deep inside me, not fear, but a fierce, protective love. He was grappling, trying to find his place in the world, and all I wanted was to help him feel steady. That night, a small idea began to take shape. It wasn't fully formed, but I thought maybe if he could see someone he looked up to being confident and true to themselves, it might inspire him to feel brave enough to do the same. The next morning, I woke up earlier than usual, a quiet mix of excitement and nerves fluttering in my chest. The world outside was still hushed, the sun just starting to peek through the windows with a soft glow. As I stood before my mirror, getting ready with extra care, I slipped into a deep green dress I hadn't worn in ages. It fit my curves in a way that felt both comforting and fresh, like reconnecting with an old version of myself. I styled my hair in soft curls that fell loosely around my shoulders. A bit of mascara made my eyes pop, and I chose a soft coral lipstick that felt subtle yet refined. Black heels finished the look, and when I looked in the mirror, I saw a woman I hadn't paid much attention to in a while. I smiled, not just at the outfit, but at the person wearing it. This wasn't just for Ethan. It was for me, too. The kitchen filled with the warm scent of fresh coffee as I whipped up a big breakfast: waffles, scrambled eggs, fresh orange juice, the whole spread. It was more effort than our usual toast or cereal, but this morning felt special. I heard the shower upstairs turn off, Ethan probably finishing up. A few minutes later, his footsteps echoed down the stairs. I stayed by the counter, coffee in hand, acting like I was busy, but I could sense the moment he noticed me. His steps hesitated, his sneakers making a soft thud as he stopped short. "Mom," he said, his voice tinged with confusion. I turned to him slowly, a playful smile creeping across my face. "Morning, sweetheart. Breakfast's ready on the table." He stood there for a moment, his eyes scanning me, not in an awkward way, just surprised. I caught the flush of color in his cheeks, like he was remembering a younger version of me. You look really great," he said, scratching the back of his neck, his voice a little unsteady. "Thanks," I said with a light shrug, keeping my voice easygoing. "Just felt like shaking things up a bit today." He slid into a chair, stealing quick looks my way as he grabbed his fork. "Got plans to head out somewhere?" I let out a soft chuckle. "Nope, just wanted to put a little extra care into myself today." "Oh," he said quietly, his fork hovering midair. "You look really nice, though. It's been a while since I've seen you like this." His tone held something deeper, more than just a passing comment. "I guess I forgot how good it feels to take care of myself too," I said. "Life gets so busy looking after everyone else, you don't always notice how much you've let yourself slip into the background." He gave a slow nod, like he was mulling it over. "Yeah, I never really thought about it that way." Over breakfast, I asked about his schoolwork and if anything exciting was coming up, but his thoughts seemed to be elsewhere. His gaze kept drifting to me, not puzzled anymore, but with a kind of warmth, like he was seeing me not just as mom, but as a person with her own spark and story. Once we'd cleared the plates, he leaned back, fingers tapping the table's edge. "You seem content today." I paused, thinking about his words. "You know, I think I am," I replied. "There's something powerful about feeling good in your own skin." A small smile tugged at his lips. "I didn't realize how much that really matters." "It's not just about appearances," I said gently. "It's about embracing who you are and being okay with it." He looked thoughtful, turning it over in his mind. "Is that something you can learn, or does it just happen?" I reached over, giving his hand a soft squeeze. "It's something that grows with you, and you don't have to figure it out on your own." In his eyes, I caught a tiny spark of trust, not complete certainty, but a start, and that was enough for now. As he stood, slinging his bag over his shoulder and heading for the door, he stopped and glanced back. "Thanks for everything, Mom. And you really do look awesome." I watched the door swing shut, my smile lingering. This wasn't the end of anything, just the start of a new page, one where we were both learning to feel at home in ourselves, one morning at a time. That afternoon, I was back on the couch, sifting through a pile of fresh laundry while a daytime talk show murmured softly in the background. Sunlight poured across the floor, painting the room in warm gold. I was halfway through matching socks when the front door creaked open, followed by the familiar thump of Ethan kicking off his sneakers. "Mom," he called, his voice brighter than usual, almost eager. "In the living room," I replied, smoothing his shirt with practiced hands, expecting him to follow his usual routine, drop his stuff, raid the fridge, then vanish upstairs. But today was different. Instead of drifting off, he appeared in the doorway and hesitated, like he was weighing something. Before I could say anything, he stepped forward and wrapped me in a hug. His chin rested near my shoulder, his warmth steady and grounding, catching me by surprise. My hands, still holding a half-folded towel, froze for a moment before I relaxed and hugged him back, my fingers gently running through his damp hair. "What's this about?" I asked with a warm smile, my heart beating a little faster at the unexpected closeness. He held on, mumbling, "No reason. Just felt like it." "You don't need a reason," I said, pressing my cheek against him. "I'm always right here." When he finally pulled back, his eyes lingered on me a bit longer than usual. They traced my face, then flicked to the loose curls spilling from my ponytail. "You look really pretty today," he said quietly, like the words slipped out before he could stop them. His compliment hit me unexpectedly, not just what he said, but the way he said it. There was something new in his voice, like he was seeing me differently. I tucked a stray curl behind my ear, suddenly aware of myself in a fresh way. "That's really sweet of you," I said, trying to keep my tone light. He gave a shy smile and plopped onto the couch next to me. For a moment, we just sat there, quiet. I tried to focus on folding again, but I could feel his gaze, steady and thoughtful. When I glanced over, he was watching me, deep in thought. "Remember what you said earlier?" he started, fidgeting with his sleeve. "About how attraction can show up in ways you don't expect?" I nodded carefully, unsure where he was going with this. "I think I'm starting to get it. Maybe I was looking in the wrong places before." The shirt slipped from my fingers, my breath catching for a second. Was this the moment I'd been bracing for, or something entirely new? "That's okay," I said softly, picking up the shirt again. "Figuring out what pulls at your heart, it takes time." He scooted closer, his arm grazing mine, and I could feel the warmth of him through the thin fabric separating us. "Do you think it's just about finding the right spark?" he asked, his voice tentative. "I believe so," I replied, turning to meet his gaze, keeping my tone gentle and measured. "You're still sorting through it all, and that's completely okay. One day, you'll cross paths with someone who makes everything click into place." His fingers brushed mine on the couch, then curled softly around them. "I hope you're right," he murmured, his voice almost too quiet to hear. I gave his hand a reassuring squeeze. "You're not navigating this by yourself." He nodded, his eyes holding a fragile, searching look. "It's just. I didn't realize how intense it could feel until today." I steadied my breathing, choosing my words carefully. "Sometimes those emotions catch you off guard, but that doesn't make them wrong. It just shows you're growing into yourself." He went quiet for a moment, then leaned into me with a soft sigh, his head resting near my shoulder like he used to do as a little boy. I stayed still, letting the moment be what it was. I reminded myself to stay steady for him, to offer comfort without letting it blur into anything else. It was a fine line to walk, for his sake and mine. After a few minutes, he sat up, stretching with a small smile that seemed a bit lighter. "Thanks, Mom. I really needed this." "Anytime, honey," I said, feeling the tension ease. "Now go swap those school clothes for something comfy. I'm cooking your favorite for dinner." His face lit up with a grin. "Spaghetti and garlic bread?" "You got it," I said with a playful wink. As he headed down the hall, I let out a long breath, my heart still pounding. I'd made it through today without complicating things, but I knew this was just one step in Ethan's journey, and mine. He was at a tender stage, balancing self-discovery with the comfort of what's familiar. I'd be there, gently guiding him until he found his way. As I stood in the kitchen, getting dinner ready, a realization hit me. I hadn't just been there for Ethan today, he'd reminded me of something too. Love, in all its messy, beautiful forms, has a way of teaching us. Sometimes, the people we cherish most are the ones who help us see that truth again. That evening, after we'd eaten, I was at the sink, scrubbing dishes while Ethan lounged at the table, scrolling on his phone with a relaxed smile. The kitchen still smelled of garlic and rich tomato sauce, mingling with the soft hum of the dishwasher. I glanced back at him, my heart warming at how at ease he looked. Just yesterday, he'd been weighed down by worry and doubt, but now he seemed like a kid who'd shed a heavy burden. Maybe I'd done something right. Maybe my approach had given him a boost of confidence. As I wiped the last plate dry, the faint clink of ceramic echoing in the quiet kitchen, Ethan stood up, stretching his arms with a lazy yawn. He tossed his phone onto the couch, where it landed with a soft thud, before heading toward the front door. "Where you headed?" I asked, my curiosity piqued, a dish towel still dangling from my hand. "Just popping outside for a minute," he said, flashing a quick, easy grin. "Won't be long." I nodded, a small smile tugging at my lips, and let it go, assuming he just needed a moment to breathe in the cool evening air. I turned back to the counters, running the cloth over the smooth surface, my mind wandering to the closeness we'd built over the past day. Our connection had always been strong, but this felt deeper, more unguarded. The way he'd opened up to me, trusting me with his fears and hopes, filled me with a quiet pride that warmed my heart. The kitchen was still, save for the soft hum of the dishwasher and the lingering scent of garlic from our dinner. I thought about how much Ethan had changed, not just in the last 24 hours, but over the years. He was no longer the little boy who'd cling to my hand, but a young man finding his way, and I was honored to be part of that journey. A few minutes later, the front door creaked open, and the sound of footsteps shuffled behind me. "That was quick," I said, turning with a playful grin, expecting to see him shrug and head upstairs. But when my eyes landed on him, my breath caught in my throat. Ethan stood in the doorway, cradling a small bundle of wildflowers, delicate daisies, sprigs of lavender, and a few leafy greens, all loosely tied with a bit of rough twine. They weren't polished or store-bought, but their simple, natural beauty made them all the more special, glowing softly in the dim kitchen light. "For you," he said, his voice steady but soft as he held them out to me. I blinked, thrown by the gesture. "Ethan, these are gorgeous. Where'd you?" "There's a little patch by the park," he said, rubbing the back of his neck as a shy flush crept up his cheeks. "I just thought you deserved something special after all you've done for me." I took the flowers, their faint lavender scent filling the air between us. "Thank you, sweetheart. You didn't have to do this." "I wanted to," he said, stepping a little closer. I set the bouquet on the counter, my fingers lingering on the delicate stems before I turned back to him. His eyes were fixed on mine, intense and steady, and my pulse quickened. There was something new in the air, unspoken but weighty. Before I could speak, he leaned in and gently kissed my cheek. The warmth of it lingered even after he pulled back, leaving me momentarily speechless, my skin tingling where his lips had been. My hand drifted to the spot, almost instinctively. "Ethan," I whispered, my voice barely there. He stayed close, his eyes locked on mine, searching. "I just wanted to thank you," he said softly, "for everything. For helping me make sense of all this." I took a deep breath, the air thick with unspoken emotion swirling between us. "You don't have to thank me, sweetheart," I said gently. "Being your mom means being there for you, no matter what." He shook his head, his voice earnest as he pushed back. "It's more than that, Mom. You didn't just do what moms do, you helped me see things in a new light. I was convinced something was wrong with me, like I was missing some piece everyone else had, unable to feel what they feel. But today, it clicked. I just hadn't met the right person yet." My heart thumped hard, its rhythm loud in my ears. "So, you think you've found her now?" I asked, my voice careful, probing. He gave a small nod, his fingers tightening ever so slightly around mine, his touch warm and tentative. "Yeah, I figured it out today. I do like women, but not just anyone. I'm drawn to women who are strong, kind, and beautiful inside and out, women who make me feel like I'm safe and truly understood. Women like you." His words washed over me like a sudden wave, carrying a mix of tenderness and unease I hadn't anticipated. My plan to help him find confidence in himself had worked, but it had veered into uncharted territory, leaving me balanced on a fragile edge. I needed to guide him gently, to keep this moment from spiraling into something neither of us could handle. "Ethan," I said softly, my voice steady as I carefully slipped my hand from his, mindful not to pull away too sharply, "I'm so proud of you for opening up like this. It takes real courage to share your heart, and it means everything that you feel safe with me. But these feelings you're having, they're part of your journey, a step toward understanding yourself, not the whole picture." The kitchen around us seemed to hold its breath, the faint hum of the fridge and the soft glow of the pendant light casting a warm, intimate circle around us. The wildflowers he'd brought earlier sat on the counter, their delicate lavender scent mingling with the lingering aroma of dinner. I could see the vulnerability in his eyes, the way he was searching for answers in a world that felt too big and uncertain. My role wasn't to solve this for him but to be the steady presence he could lean on while he found his way, even as my own heart wrestled with the weight of his words. He turned his gaze away, his voice trembling with uncertainty. What if I don't want to keep looking? What if I'm sure I've already found the person who makes me feel safe? His words hit me like a quiet thunderclap, not sparking fear but revealing the deep confusion still swirling inside him. I placed a gentle hand on his shoulder, anchoring us both in the moment. It's easy to feel overwhelmed when you're trying to understand yourself, I said softly, my voice steady despite the weight of his words. When things get murky, you naturally reach for the people who've always been your rock. But that closeness? It doesn't always mean they're the one for you in a romantic way. It just means they're important to your heart. But no one's ever made me feel like you do, he said, his voice cracking, raw with the kind of vulnerability that made my chest ache. I met his eyes, holding them with a quiet strength, determined to guide him through this fragile moment. That's because love, real love, in any form, has a way of making us feel truly known, I told him, my tone warm but firm. And you are known, Ethan. You're just beginning to discover who you are, and that's a beautiful thing. But don't mistake the comfort of being understood for romance. Out there, there's someone waiting who'll give you that same trust, that same safety, and so much more, because they're meant to walk beside you in that way. The kitchen around us felt still, the faint scent of lavender from the wildflowers he'd given me lingering in the air, their delicate petals catching the soft glow of the overhead light. His words had stirred something deep in me, not panic, but a fierce need to protect his heart while he navigated this tender stage of self-discovery. I could see the struggle in his eyes, the way he was grasping for something solid in a world that felt unsteady. And I knew my role wasn't to fix it for him but to be the steady ground he could stand on until he found his own footing. He swallowed hard, his shoulders hunching slightly as he processed my words. It feels so hard to believe I'll find someone like that, he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. I reached out, my fingers brushing gently along his cheek, a small gesture to remind him he wasn't alone. You will, sweetheart, I said, my heart swelling with conviction. There's someone out there who'll see every part of you, the strong parts, the unsure parts, and love them all. Someone who'll not only understand you but help you grow into the person you're becoming. Don't give up before you've had the chance to meet her. He swallowed hard, giving a slow nod. It's hard to believe I'll ever find them. You will, I said, brushing my fingers gently across his cheek. Someone's waiting who'll love every piece of you, not just get you, but help you become even more yourself. Don't give up before you meet her. He closed his eyes for a second, then let out a long breath. Okay. I'll try to trust that. I pulled him into a tight hug, his head resting against my shoulder as I held him close. You're already doing so much, Ethan. Listening to your heart like this, that's the bravest thing. We stood there, wrapped in quiet, wrapped in trust. No more words were needed. In that moment, he understood, and I knew he'd carry that clarity forward, wherever it took him. After a bit, he pulled back, wiping his eyes with a shy grin. Guess I should start looking for that girl, huh? I laughed, ruffling his hair. She's out there. And when you find her, you'll wonder why you ever doubted. As he headed down the hall, I glanced at the wildflowers still sitting on the counter, their soft colors catching the light. I smiled. This hadn't been an easy road, and it had tugged at my heart in ways I hadn't expected, but in guiding him toward his truth, I'd found something in myself too, a steady strength and a love deep enough to make room for both of us to grow.